again, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. And I'm just like, you know what? We're gonna do like little side quests here and there. Hello friends and enemies, welcome to day 25 of Writemas, aka Vlogmas Writing Edition. Merry Christmas to everyone who celebrates and a Gappy holidays. Yes, Gap, because I am wearing the new Gap and Disney collaboration. Like, look how cute this is. And it's even cuter knowing that my sister designed it. My sister is a designer at Gap and she does a lot of the brand collaborations they do. So when she told us that she was doing a collaboration with Disney, I was like, we're getting those for Christmas, right? Ever since we were younger, my family would always wear like coordinating or matching outfits, and like Gap was a household favorite. So of course for Christmas Eve we all had hoodies from the collection. I'm filming this right now on Christmas Day, so hopefully I get to post this by like the 26th or the 27th. Yesterday we spent Christmas Eve at my cousin's house and it was really cute. My sister brought her dog and the dog she's fostering. We did this like money game and somehow I won the most money. Oh no, we had to like use a spatula to scoop paper and dollar bills into a bowl. My oldest sister saw footage from me playing and she was like, you can tell this girl is a baker. She's just like flipping that spatula, scooping it into the bowl. And it was very much a cute time. Christmas Day was pretty chill. I like slept in. I was so tired from the night before. I just like knocked out. My family went to visit my aunt in her assisted living home. And then we went to this like Asian fusion restaurant for dinner and I'm like super stuffed right now. But now we're gonna get into some writing and it's gonna be a ho of a time. So in my last writing session, we were finishing up the first spicy scene and getting into some like pretty awkward aftercare. Awkward mostly because the two main characters are being really awkward around each other now, which is pretty funny and somewhat accurate to some of my encounters that I've had, where like you're doing all these things and then suddenly you're just like, oh, okay. My session target for tonight is 3,557 words. Hopefully we can get to that because I have a pretty good idea of what I want to happen in the next chapter. But first, I want to tie up this other chapter with like this awkward aftercare and whatnot. Then we can go into the next chapter, which is going to be, best I could describe it, is really interesting. So enough yapping for me. Let's get into our first writing sprint. Hello, it is 9:17. I just finished up my first writing sprint and I have written 331 words. This is low-key embarrassing, but also not. I almost cried during the beginning of this writing session. I won't give spoilers as to why, but I think it's kind of ridiculous, but also not ridiculous that I almost started crying at that moment. I will say that I think it's really beautiful and also really stupid that they're finally getting some character development in like a positive sense. I don't even know if that makes sense. I really like the way that I finished that chapter. I think it was good. I think it was a great ending point. I know someone had commented in one of my other vlogs asking me how I know when a spicy scene is just right. And it took me a while to answer that comment because I was like, how do I know when a spicy scene is just right? Because the fact that I would categorize this as like steamy or spicy romance, maybe erotic romance at most. The spicy scenes are used as a tool for the plot or like the emotional growth of the characters. Basically, I would treat a spicy scene the same way that I would treat any old scene. There has to be a clear beginning, clear middle, and clear end. And you know the scene has ended because you've gone on a journey from the beginning of it to that point. And for me, it's like, I know the spicy scene is good and it's done when I have achieved like an emotional change with my characters. They're not in the same place that they were before doing the act. And what they do also depends on like where they're at emotionally, what are they trying to achieve in this chapter, or like what am I trying to achieve in this chapter? I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's the same as any old scene. You're just using different tools to tell the story. I did start on the next chapter and I'm like, oh, this is a lot. I won't give away too much. I will say that my chosen song for tonight for my writing playlist, which I'm linking down below in the caption, is Pierre by Rin Weaver. But anyways, that is the mood I am setting for tonight. So I'm gonna take a little break, get back into writing, and catch y'all after this next writing sprint. Hello, it is 9:55. I just finished up a writing sprint. My total word count for tonight is 832 words. I feel like I did pretty well this writing session. Not the best, not the worst, but we did get some progress. We did a lot of my favorite thing tonight, which was copying and pasting and doing some edit as me write. I had to combine like two different versions of this conversation. Like they were in two separate drafts, and while like the topic was the same, the setting was different and the tone of it was kind of different. And for this draft, it's still like the same two characters, Different setting though, and a completely different tone. Okay, not completely, because the ending is still kind of the same, but how they like start the conversation is a little bit different. I was just like, okay, let's like leave it at that. I do have to work on the beginning of that chapter, which is kind of just like the lead up into this conversation, which is going to be interesting. It's going to be a lot of like introspection, just like soliloquies, which I do need to get better at. I need to get better at like being inside of the characters' minds, because I feel like I'm a very action driven person, and I'm like, actions speak louder than words, which like I could use to a degree, but this is a romance novel. Third person POV limited, or whatever the term is, where it's like third person, but we're in the characters' minds, so we only know the information that they know. I'm just like, I'm such a no thoughts head empty girl in real life. I always make characters who are much smarter than me, much smarter than me. I gotta dumb them down and bring them back to earth by giving them like my type of feelings. But either way, I think it's gonna be fun. I think this is gonna be a fun chapter. So I'm gonna go on my break, get back into the next writing sprint, and see y'all afterwards. Hello, it is 10:33. I just finished up a writing sprint. My total word count for tonight is 1,101 words. Not too bad with this writing sprint. I feel like I took some time to just like go back and look at what the previous chapter was. And based on what I'm writing in my current chapter, it's giving me some time to be like, is the pacing of all of this fine? Because this current chapter, it starts off with kind of just like a, what just happened? This is from the female main character's point of view, and she's kind of just like trying to process everything, really. She's someone who gets stuck in her head a lot, so she's just like, okay, I need some time to think, and then I will come back to this once I feel like I'm not going to word vomit everywhere. Because I feel like with her personality, she's a very calculated person. She's just like assessing the situation no matter what she's doing. And as someone who's like lived in the spotlight and has grown up being under constant scrutiny, she kind of just like walks on eggshells a bit. So I feel like it's very fitting that the chapter starts out this way, and this is her reaction to like everything that had just happened. So I'm kind of just like breaking down her thoughts with her and kind of just like trying to figure out what she should do, because in her mind it's really complicated, and there's just like a lot of things at play right here. Because I don't have like a really clear idea of how I want this to go, part of me just wants to like skip around and skip to the next part, but another part of me is like, no, Joelle, we need to sit with this, we need to like figure this out together, which honestly, now that I'm saying this out loud, feels pretty meta. So I'm gonna go on a bit of a break, ruminate on this a bit, get back into writing, and catch y'all afterwards. Hello, it is 11:45. Finished up a writing sprint kind of a while ago actually, but in total for tonight, I have written 1,339 words. We're like slowly getting there. I'm really trying to craft this entire scene because I'm like, I know what I need to do, but also at the same time, I don't know what I need to do, because as always, it's just like a lot of things happening, and we're about like halfway through the draft. It says right here in my draft target, I have written 47,882 words for the entirety of the draft, which again, my initial goal is to get around 90,000 words, 100,000 words in total for the draft. So we're pretty much at the halfway mark. I just know that there's a lot that I still need to do. It's just like how to get there. Again, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. And I'm just like, you know what? We're gonna do like little side quests here and there. I want to try to get as much as this chapter done, maybe like 1 or 2 more sprints, and then I think I'm gonna call it a night after that. So I'll go on a tiny little break, get back into writing, and then see y'all after the next writing sprint. Hello, it is 12:12 a.m. I just finished up a writing sprint. My total word count for tonight is 1,498 words. I am getting a little stuck here. I thought I had a pretty good idea of what I was going to write tonight, and I got through all of that and I realized, wow, I actually don't know what else is happening in this chapter. Because like me and the female main character, we're trying to like figure out her emotions together, and it's just like, baby cakes, I know you have conflicted feelings, like, but we need to figure out how to express these conflicted feelings. And also, I think I'm just running into a pacing issue. So I think this is a good place to stop for tonight. Even though I don't have as many words as I thought I would want, just like I see this as a roadblock and I have to figure out how to navigate it. Honestly, one of the comps to this is a lot like Adios by Alexis Daria. So I think I'm gonna read that to help me with the pacing of this and kind of just see how that unfolds. Because that one is also a second chance romance with fake relationship and close proximity. So I'm like, these are basically the same losers, just in a different universe. I love them. I say that very lovingly. I love Alexis Daria and her books. That said, I think I'm gonna end it for tonight and do a little book research. Thank you for joining me in my writing and my yapping. Merry Christmas and happy holidays to everyone out there. Stay safe, stay warm, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye!